Voyager 1 was never originally tasked with studying the moon. Its mission was interplanetary, and for over 45 years it has been traveling through deep space, now billions of miles from Earth. However, during a standard calibration process where the moon's gravitational influence was used as a reference, something unexpected occurred. The probe's sensors detected a thermal anomaly on the far side of the moon. An area that should have been utterly cold appeared to glow slightly in infrared. What made this even more unsettling was that the glowing region appeared to be moving. It wasn't an instrument malfunction, nor a reflection of sunlight. The heat signature lingered for several minutes, shifted across the lunar surface, and then gradually disappeared. "That shouldn't be there," one engineer reportedly said. Theories began to circulate. Could it be volcanic activity, a hidden structure, scattered debris, or something else entirely? The far side of the moon, long quiet and hidden from Earth, may have just given away one of its secrets. Voyager 1 wasn't intended to observe the moon. Its mission history lists flybys of massive planets and studies of interstellar winds, not lunar anomalies. Yet during that same calibration sequence, using the moon's gravity to adjust its sensors, an unexpected reading emerged. A subtle thermal spot became visible in the infrared data, a region of the moon's far side, which never faces Earth and receives no direct sunlight, was warmer than expected. It stood out faintly but clearly. Control center engineers took notice. Further analysis revealed something more. The hotspot was mobile. It shifted position slightly between images, suggesting movement rather than a stationary thermal feature. This wasn't a fleeting glitch. When the team reviewed it, their reaction was unified. That wasn't supposed to be there. The official log recorded the incident with one entry: anomaly detected, origin unknown. Although Voyager 1 left behind operations tied to Earth decades ago, this moment demonstrated it still had the potential to deliver surprising data from even the moon's shadowed regions. This event prompted an obvious question: why would there be any heat at all on the moon's far side? That hemisphere of the moon is permanently turned away from Earth due to tidal locking. Its rotation period matches its orbit, so it never faces us. During lunar night, its surface temperature drops to nearly -230 degrees Celsius colder than distant Pluto. Without sunlight or an atmosphere to retain heat, the area should remain frozen. Historical observations from orbiters and lunar landers support this. No thermal hotspots or unusually warm features have been recorded. Temperature maps consistently show an environment of extreme cold. So the emergence of this warm spot conflicted with everything previously known. There was no solar heating, no evidence of volcanic activity, no seismic events to generate warmth. This wasn't just an intriguing find, it was startling. Any heat source in such an environment is anomalous and demands investigation. Something was generating warmth in a region that should be completely inert. It's important to remember that Voyager 1 was developed to explore the outer planets and the boundary of the solar system, not to perform lunar analysis, and yet, that context helps explain how the anomaly was detected. Early calibration routines sometimes utilized the alignment between Earth and the Moon. That's when Voyager inadvertently captured this infrared anomaly. While its onboard instruments are designed to measure solar winds and cosmic particles, the sensors are still extremely sensitive to thermal variations. And during that recalibration, they recorded a legitimate observable thermal event. Voyager wasn't actively focused on the moon at the time. The reading came as an unintended byproduct of instrument alignment. Even so, the fact that such an aged spacecraft can still return surprising data underlines an important lesson. Even old tools can yield new discoveries. The data revealed a clear thermal curve. As researchers reviewed the infrared readout, it showed a steady rise in temperature over several minutes, followed by a gradual decline, subtle but distinct. The spot didn't appear like lingering warmth from a sunlit rock. Instead, it resembled a thermal pulse. What's more, the source shifted location. It wasn't fixed to the terrain. Its movement suggested lateral drifting, possibly even hovering above the surface. This mobility, combined with the thermal emission, triggered serious concern. Heat plus movement generally equals activity. The infrared wavelength observed aligned closely with emissions from active systems like engines or powered devices. Natural lunar processes couldn't explain the pattern. Whatever was being observed was functioning and intentional behavior, not a geological fluke. Naturally, researchers began by exploring conventional explanations. The first consideration was lunar quakes. While such seismic activity does occur on the Moon, typically triggered by Earth's gravitational pull, it's minimal and doesn't produce meaningful heat. The second idea was volcanic venting. Ancient lava flows existed billions of years ago, but lunar volcanism is long extinct. No active thermal vents have been found, and no modern geological model supports one suddenly emerging. Micrometeorite impacts were another candidate. Such impacts can generate heat, but the flash is extremely brief and stationary. It doesn't shift position over time. Could it have been reflected sunlight? Scientists dismissed that quickly. The far side was in complete darkness during the observation. All natural causes either didn't match the data or were outright impossible. And that left an uncomfortable question. What if the source wasn't natural? Could this have been some kind of artificial object? One possibility: old mission hardware. The Moon is littered with remains from past missions: Apollo descent modules, Soviet landers, and Chinese rovers. But all of these are accounted for, and none are located at the coordinates of the thermal reading. Furthermore, they are immobile, cold and inert. This object moved, and it emitted heat. That raised the stakes. Could it be an undisclosed installation, possibly a covert test site? If such a facility were active, it would require power, and powered equipment emits heat. Movement would suggest it's not abandoned. That's what made the idea so compelling. Some experts quietly proposed another possibility, something non-human. Not out of paranoia, but deduction. If we didn't build it, and it shows signs of activity, then what or who did? Before jumping to that conclusion, scientists had to examine the mundane explanation of space debris. Could it have been a reflective fragment from a past mission something? Metallic bouncing light? The Moon is scattered with human artifacts. But this object didn't behave like passive junk. Its heat signature wasn't a result of catching sunlight. It actively radiated warmth. It also moved slightly. None of the known debris has moved since being deposited. Additionally, the thermal emission didn't resemble reflected heat, but instead mirrored the characteristics of powered electronic systems, managing internal temperature. Lastly, the area was in deep shadow. There was no sunlight available. If it was debris, it was undocumented, still operational, and inexplicably active. This isn't the first time the Moon's far side has delivered strange readings. Since the first images were captured in 1959, there have been persistent anomalies. For instance, China's Change 4 mission found oddly glassy spheres and unfamiliar rock deposits not seen on the near side. In 2021, its rover U-22 photographed a cube-shaped object nicknamed the Mysterious Hut. It turned out to be a boulder, but raised more questions about the unusual shapes found there. Decades earlier, Apollo 10 astronauts reported unexplained whistling sounds as they passed over the far side, an audio anomaly still not fully understood. And there are the so-called transient lunar phenomena, flashes and glows seen from Earth for centuries. This new infrared detection might not be ATLP, but it joins a long list of lunar events that defy easy explanation.